Okay, guys, no intro music today. This is very much like the test problem we reviewed the other day. So first thing they're asking you to find is the period of the function. We'll graph it in a sec. Also the maximum amount of sales. So period again is 2 pi over c. So our job is to find the c number. And without further ado, c is actually the number that is attached to the variable in the problem. You can tell the variable because it's there in the parentheses by the s. So, as we've seen before in a couple of instances, this is what we need to carry out. And we turn that into multiplication. And we can see that the, whoops, why is there a 2 there? Don't know. The pi's cancel. We're left with a period of 12, which matches the fact that we're supposed to graph this function over a period of 12 months. So setting up my axes, I'll have a 12 at the end, a 0 there. Let's find the middle, just to get an idea of what's going on. Okay, northern climate, we're selling skis. The time t equals 0 is July 1st. I would expect sales then to be quite low. So if we take a 0 and plug it in for t, let's actually figure that out. T, s of t. 0 times pi over 6 is still 0. Cos of 0 is 1. 1 take away that value of 1 is 0. 0 times 7 is 0. My first point I've located here. If I plug in a 12 to get the other end of my graph, 12 for t times pi over 6 is 12 pi over 6. Reduce that to lowest terms, it is 2 pi. So then we ask ourselves, what is the cos of 2 pi? As it turns out, it's the same as the cos of 0, which is 1. We get exactly the same value for our graph. So our graph here both starts and ends at 0. And notice in front of the cosine I have a negative. That means my cos graph should be upside down, so I'd be ending up getting something like this. Now before I actually graph things, we should plug some values in. So we already have 0, 0, and 12, 0. Let's plug in a 6 and see what happens. If I plug in a 6, I get 6 over 6 pi, which is 1 pi. So what is the cos of pi? Use the calculator if you need. Cos of pi is negative 1. 1 take away negative 1 is actually 2, and 2 times 7 to finish off my s of t is 14. So it looks like at 6, I will be at a height of 14. So let's get a bit more accurate here. And if I'm going to label my curve, I should have a 14 there. Now, just for completeness' sake, let's plug in some of these other intermediate values. Let's plug in a 3, because I've got that on my graph. If I plug a 3 in for t, I get the cos of 3 pi over 6, which is the same as the cos of pi over 2. What is the cos of pi over 2? Well, if you need to look it up, go right ahead. I'll wait. Actually, I won't. It's a 0. So 1 take away 0 is 1. 7 times 1 is 7. My halfway point shows up here. And I think we can see by the symmetry of the graph, the other 7 value should be there. So now I can draw a little bit more accurate curve. Well, best I can do with this silly stylus trying to be accurate. Okay, so they did ask us the period of the function. That answer is here, 12. What is the maximum amount of sales is another question. That would be $14,000 worth. Again, each of those marks over here is sales. Let's label that graph in $1,000 increments. And labeling our graph 2 on the bottom here, we should probably have months as our label. Okay. It did say, please remember to include the dimensions on the graph and label axes with words, so we've taken care of that as well. So, a very ugly sample, But nonetheless, that is the work that we need to do for this problem.